Hello. Happy Saturday. This is going to be, hopefully, a quick reading because I do have a lot of readings, personal readings that I have to get to today. But there's something that's like in my mind and I'm not going to be able to focus on the other readings before I like kind of scratch that itch and give my brain the information that it's kind of trying to find. So we're going to, this is not the follow-up video answering the questions because that one I definitely need more time for than I'm allotting for this right now. But I want to look into the recent information that has come out that police are, excuse me, looking for surveillance footage or any kind of footage of the white car that they were looking at from Troy and Kendrick. So Moscow's here, and then Troy, and then Kendrick. Yesterday I had mentioned something in a post about a possibility of Priest Lake, which is up north from these three areas, being a possible place of interest in terms of where the killer may have gone afterwards. I don't really want to talk too much more deeply about that yet. I'm still kind of working on piecing together the whole picture before I give more information about where that came from. I will, if I feel like it's, I don't want to put out any potential false information, and I don't want to obviously hinder the investigation in any way. So I want to be absolutely certain that that's what I'm getting before I put out how I got to it. So there's Moscow, and then Troy, and then Kendrick. Moscow, Troy, Kendrick, Priest. One sec. So to get to up here, if you were in Moscow, there's no direct highway route, so you'd have to take back roads. You could either go this way, and I have no sense of geography, so I don't know, I forget what was this way. But anyway, they're looking for footage from these two towns. So if the killer wanted to go up there from Moscow, he would have to go either this way to get on the highway or these ways to get on these highways. Otherwise, it would be back roads and red light cameras. So this reading is going to be from the police and investigators' perspective in regard to Troy and Kendrick. What are they looking, hold on. What are they feeling like they are going to find through potential footage of that car in either Troy and or Kendrick? Two of Wands is about choices and decisions. Also, we're looking at two towns. Two of Pentacles reversed. So Two of Wands is like choosing which of a series of multiple options would be best. Choosing between left and right, so to speak. Two of Pentacles here is about Let me pull one more card. Hierophant in reverse. So what the police are hoping to find in potential video footage that has that car in it is which direction that car went from those places. They have something that points to, allegedly, my opinion, they have something that points to the car heading in that direction, and essentially they're trying to then figure out where did it go next from there, which is like, seems like an obvious thing, but what I'm saying is that they're on to something. I want to be really careful. How do I say this? They're looking into this, they're looking into a specific person, I believe. And I believe that because they are now focused likely on the right person, I'm trying to say this without giving too much away. I really don't want to mess anything up. They are looking at the right person, and they are trying to piece out the person's journey from point A to point B, C, and then D. I believe that they know that this person got on a highway, and that's why they're trying to find footage from the town or towns that this person traveled through before they got onto said highway, because then they can see which direction the person got onto the highway and somehow trace to see the possible footage of the person getting off of the highway in another. So police know that the person, this is my opinion, the police, I feel like, know that the person went this way, and then we're using that to get onto the highway, but not in Moscow, because if they got on the highway in Moscow, then it would be very obvious. It's almost like the person was backtracking to try and make sure that they weren't, like, if they were seen on cameras, it would look like they were kind of going somewhere else, but they actually went somewhere where if the police had a decent idea of where that person may go because that person has a connection to that place, this is tricky to say. If the police feel that the person has a connection to a specific place, they're trying to look at, now we have to trace the person's steps to prove how they got from that place to that place. Nine of Wands. Yeah, Nine of Wands is like, you're real close to success. The timing of that was just okay. Yeah, Nine of Wands is like, keep pushing because you're right there. They're onto something. They're trying to essentially establish, I believe they're trying to do two things. one, establish a play-by-play of the person's travel that connects them to a certain location. And then two, I believe that they feel as though that weapon is in said location. I'll be right back. Okay, so to be to be honest with you, I wanted to watch that back really quick before I continued, because I just want to make sure that I'm not saying too much before I have the confident opinion that what I'm saying is accurate. So far, we're good. I just watched that back. We're good. And now I want to know, something's telling me to use this deck. Priest Lake. No, because then it would be, I can't use this deck. I can't use the deck. It has to be this deck. All right, we're gonna start with this deck. What connection, if any, does Priest Lake have to the murders? Fool in reverse. Knight of Cups in reverse. So Knight of Cups in reverse is a moody person. Cups, symbolic of emotions. In this case, Priest Lake. The Knight is a slow-moving knight. And then we have the Fool in reverse, which is feeling unprepared, having a lack of direction, in a sense that's like, not lack of direction like they got lost and ended up there. Lack of direction like lack of direction like something happened and this person was freaking out, and not freaking out, but like in terms of not wanting to get caught, especially not immediately, this person was like, where do I go? What do I do? Where do I go? What do I do? And they went somewhere that they have a connection to help them get away from the immediate aftermath and be able to clean up, etc., etc. Still on Priest Lake. What else can we know about Priest Lake? Ace of Pentacles in reverse. We got two. We got the Magician in reverse and Seven of Cups in reverse. So we had the killer who, you know, did what they did, and then, so the picture this is painting to me is that murdering 4 people was not the initial plan. I know the person had the knife with them, and obviously that would really mean they're not in there to be gentle, but I feel like that was a just in case. I don't feel the initial plan was murder. It went to that quickly. Or maybe not murder of the entire 4 people. There's something about that that's just, it keeps sticking out to me. But give me a minute. I gotta think of how to put this. 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna put it this way. I believe that the police have a general idea of what type of place the killer went after the killings to clean up and hide the weapon. I don't believe they know the exact location, but I believe they're heading in the right direction finally. It does feel like there's been a shift in their energy that's heading in the right direction. Maybe not literally the right direction, like maybe not physically, they're not heading to where the weapon is, that's what I'm saying, but they're making progress in finding out where this person could have gone with said weapon. I do feel like the person has a connection to a certain place, and if they would have went from Moscow in the direction of that place, I feel as though the police would have put it together earlier. Why am I feeling like they... Hold on. I think I just got something. Devil in reverse. King of Cups in reverse. I'm almost feeling like the killer left their cell phone in one of those locations so that the phone couldn't be tracked when they went up north. And that's why they would need actual video footage of the person, because their phone doesn't put them in the location, because their phone was left behind in Troy or Kendrick. Because we have the King of Cups reversed, and we also have the Knight of Cups reversed. So it's like this person's plan matured. Like the person was like, okay, crap, now what do I do? And then drove a little bit and was like, all right, I'm going to go to this location, but I can't have my phone go to that location because that's not going to make sense once this is looked into. Let me leave my phone here, go up there, and then come back. Which would be why they can't just be like, oh, well, your phone, why were you up there? Your phone puts you there. Because the phone wasn't there. That also being said, if you're driving somewhere that's a couple hours away without a phone for direction, you probably know where you're going. The person would have had to stop and get gas in one of those two locations to fill up before going. And then it would, because if the person is a good distance away, let's say Priest Lake, for example, the police aren't necessarily going to be asking for video footage from that area, because why would they, right? In the beginning, at least, why would they? So that person could have found a nearby town that was far enough away from their location that they were cleaning up at to get gas for the way back, without people being like, oh, that car's in my video footage. Because if you're 2 or 3 hours away from the crime scene and you're a gas station, you're not necessarily checking your video footage for that car on that night because you're far away. I bet you people in the general area around Priest Lake. Let me pull a card before I say this, just to get confirmation. This person definitely turned their feelings off. Like their father figure, more than likely. I mean, the mother is emotionally avoidant, but the I believe the person's father is more like emotionally shut off, and during this time when he was doing all the cleanup, he embodied that energy of his father. Oh, the world. Snake wrapped around an egg. Yeah. When did the Knight of Swords fall out? Did I connect with that? One second. This one's, I really don't want to. So it's like the person was thinking ahead prior to going where they went to clean up. And what they were thinking of is, how can I have it so that I can get from here to there being seen as little as possible? So that person will have went to a gas station completely filled up, or if they already had gas in the car, like fill up the rest of the way. That person then drove to the location, cleaned up, disposed of, or hid the weapon, stopped to get gas. We got the world, so I would say stop to get gas within 21 miles of Priest Lake. The police may be able to find video footage at a gas station. It would be in the morning of the November 14th, because they have it on the 13th. So this would be into the 14th. It would be early in the morning. This car would be, the driver would be acting normal but rushed because they had to get back to the area as soon as possible. I believe that the phone will be, if this is the case, that cell phone, it is going to be like, almost like they stashed it or hid it somewhere in one of those two towns. Maybe it was like a friend's house per se. Like, for example, if it was a friend's house, but like, let's say they hid the phone under a bush at their friend's house or something like that before they went. So it's like if the phone pinged from that location, they'd be like, oh, that was my friend's house. That was my friend's house. But really, they weren't at the friend's house. Or something like that. Like, the phone was put somewhere, I believe, while this person went to clean up. Now I want to pull some of these now that we kind of have a baseline. We got 3 cards. So it just said that I feel like they left it at like a friend's house, for example. A friend knows something. And I said, so they might have left it under a bush. That's a tree. And there's 2 people, and then graveyards. Details leading up to the murder may be worth investigating. The This one says this crime will be solved in the distant future. I pray that that's not true, at least not the distant part or future. I just hope it means this. Okay, never mind. What I'm getting from this is how I said that I feel like the police are going in the right direction now and they're focused on what I feel is possibly the right suspect. And then we have a car driving on the road. Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, Maddie. 4 trees. The car is driving like this way, like in this picture, driving this way. So driving away from them. Details leading up to the murder may be worth investigating. Telling you this person got in a fight with their, that's another femininely figure. This person got into a fight with their mother the morning of the murders. A friend knows something. Well, if you're that friend that knows something, it's probably a good time to come forward because you are going to get found out from knowing something. If you are that person that said, oh yeah, so-and-so was at my house when that person wasn't at your house. Maybe they like said something like, I fell asleep in my car outside and that's why my phone was there. Like, let's say someone said to the police, this is my alibi, because they knew that their phone was going to ping in that location for a certain amount of time, especially if the phone is placed somewhere not moving. They could be like, I was sleeping. Obviously, my phone didn't even move. And then if their friend was like, you weren't here, and they'd be like, oh, well, I fell asleep in my car out front, but they're never going to believe me, so you have to just tell them I was here. And in the beginning, that might have not seemed like a big deal because they were like, oh, fell asleep in his car outside. He was drunk. He pulled over. Something like that. But I think it got a little bit too far past the fact, and now that person is unable to say anything because they feel like they're going to get in trouble too. I'm just going to pull... You know what? I'm going to split this deck in half. I'm going to pull 2 and 2. And then we're going to be done. Meeting. I'm telling you that there's a friend. I do believe that the killer's family knows that it's them. I also believe that there's a friend that covered for the person in some way, that in the beginning they might not have been doing it thinking they were covering for a killer because that it just didn't make sense to them how that could happen. But hopefully they're realizing it now. Royalty. You know, when someone says like, leave the light on for me. What's on in that picture? A light on the front porch. And the other 2. War. See how there's multiple people helping to put the flag up? I think that's what we're supposed to be taking from this card. I gotta think of how to say this. The person who did this, even though they are not necessarily remorseful, even though they have that rage inside of them, that fire that is like a statewide forest fire that used to be a bonfire, but now it's like way out of control. Regardless of that, for some reason, the killer feels like part of them died that night as well. It could be, you know, a hopeful future. It could be hope of inner peace ever happening. But this person went somewhere that was familiar or comforting to them because they felt like they felt like, not that they were planning on doing that at that time. I don't feel like they were. I feel like it's possible. The second word for the killer. I feel like it's possible, but I don't believe it would be until they were like knowingly about to get caught, or after, if it would be possible for them to do it after they got caught. I guess it's possible maybe they went to a friend's house. Like maybe they went to a friend's house that lives in one of those cities and then left their phone there and left. I'm feeling more, it's like, for some reason I'm feeling like that phone was hidden somewhere so that the person couldn't be tracked. And I believe that that's why the police are having some degree of trouble in terms of getting enough proof to get a definite conviction, because there's things about there's certain elements that point to reasonable doubt, such as if your phone's in one place but you're in another, but in court, my phone didn't ping there, my phone pinged in this town. How my phone pinged there? How would I be there if my phone pinged there? That's reasonable doubt. Let me go, which is why I believe that they're trying to find that weapon before an arrest. Because from the police's perspective, believe it or not, I don't know if DNA is going to be as helpful as one would have believed it could have been in the beginning of this case. I think there were certain precautions taken, as well as contamination of the crime scene, because there was other people through it before it could be contained. So I think that some of that little bit of pushback, is pushback the right word? The police haven't given a lot of information, like free flow, not a lot of information, keeping it close to their chest. I understand why. However, they get a little, it seems as though they get a little agitated because it's like they're not understanding the frustration from the public. Like, everyone's speculating, coming up with their own thoughts and ideas. That's very frustrating to them. However, it's because there's not a lot of information out. But I do feel as though the reason that is that way is because they have bits and pieces of proof, or at least a solid theory, but there's other factors in the investigation as a whole that's poking holes in that, like slam dunk conviction. There's certain things that are poking holes in that. And while I do feel as though they have an idea or a direct answer as to who this person is, they need that weapon, and they need to connect the person to the place in which the weapon could potentially be found, or if not the weapon, if not the weapon itself, then they're trying to prove that this person was not where their phone was pinging. This person wasn't here where their phone was. They were somewhere else, but they left their phone there. And then they're trying to get some kind of proof of where they went after that. Because if they can connect the person in place B, but their phone is in place A, then that kind of squashes that whole reasonable doubt, because it's like, okay, well, you obviously weren't with your phone, so that is irrelevant at that point if they can prove that the phone is in one place and the person was in another. I want to pull one more of these, the crime scene cards. This crime may be solved by DNA testing or other scientific methods. Cell phone records may provide important clues. I want to say that's all I'm going to say, but I want to do this deck that I have. That's the deck that's mixed together that I always pull for what was this person's energy. This is a darker toned deck, so we are kind of getting back into how I did the last reading from like a more light perspective. Light, like opposite of darkness, not like this is light. We're going to get back into that heavy energy for a minute. And I just want to look at, I believe that place is 2.5 or 3.5 hours. What was the killer's energy in, as the killer was leaving the crime scene, going to his next, wherever he went next, what was his energy? So before I pull a card, my theory is that either he went to the gas station and then a friend's house to drop off the phone, and not drop it off like, here's my phone, hold this while I go clean up. It wasn't like that. And he would have been bloody, so it would have had to be, well, he didn't have to be bloody because he could have changed his clothes. But I don't think that he would have necessarily tried to go out of his way to be face to face with a friend after doing that before he had the chance to clean up and gather himself. So I do feel like the phone was likely put somewhere like outside. Somewhere that he was familiar with enough that it could be an alibi if the phone was pinging in that person's house. So it's not like a random person that they'd be like, your phone pinged at my house, I don't even know you. It would be someone that they know, but they weren't like with them physically. It was just they left their phone out, and that person initially lied for them because they just couldn't fathom. But after it got too far, it's that person's like, oh. So the killer left the house and went to the next point before they went to the next point. That first point, what was their energy in that car ride? The temple of my body. Two things are sticking out to me about this card. Well, three things. One is the eyes. The eyes are like possessed. This person was not possessed. I'm not saying that, but this person was after the murders. This person was in a deep psychotic episode. During too, but I'm not trying to make it seem like it wasn't their decision, and it wasn't a psychotic break, it was rage. But afterwards, there was a psychotic break. Two, how there's like things up in the air here. In my dream video, I said that there was 3 men on a boat throwing what looked like paper one way, and then they went the other way. Throwing paper. Threw it one way, went the other way. And the third part about this is that if you look really closely, the person is holding a little necklace, and said necklace honestly actually looks like the knife because it goes like that. It's a little longer, hold on. It goes like that. There's like a cross part thing, and then this thing, the scribble part, that is what looks like a blood drop. It's red, and it's like, it looks like a drop of blood. But anyway, that's what the necklace is. It looks like a mixture between a sword and a drop of blood. And then throwing paper from my dream was symbolic of throwing things one way and going another. Oh. Throwing, putting the phone somewhere, and then going a different way. Huh. And then I want to know, so the killer, let's say the killer puts the phone somewhere, gets gas. What is the energy of the killer between after that happens and when they got to their next location, which I believe was north at a body of water? In the car on that drive, what was their energy? I'm gonna pull 2 here. The Morrigan, Weaver of Fate. Introspection, opposition, antipathy. Oh my god, and there's 4. There's 4 birds, 2 on each arm of this evil looking. Those are trees in the background. Prosser Lake is like a lake, like in the woods. Let's see what is on the head. Killer goes to the next location. Let's say it was a lake up north. They do what they have to do, clean up, introspection. However, they were able to calm themselves back down. I think they emotionally detached like their dad does. And I think that they got back into that mindset of, well, I did what I had to do, or I was owed this, like their mom. And then mix that together. They were able to go about cleaning up, doing what they had to do. And then I do feel like they were in more of a rush. I don't think it was like, la-di-da-di-da, I'm just going to clean up and take my time and have a little mini vacation. It wouldn't be that. It would be someone who was moving with a purpose, but not in a way that people were like, oh, what's up with that guy? Why is he like running for the parking lot? It wouldn't be something like that. It would be purposely planning the shortest way to get everything done and get back. So clean up and heading back to wherever the killer was going. Likely, well, let's see, if they left their phone behind, they would be really having to hurry back before people would notice that they hadn't been answering their phone into the morning. So that's another thing that kind of could have been lighting the fire under them. Like, I got to get back because I left my phone there. If you just happen to be someone who lives in the area of Priest Lake within a 21-ish mile radius and you have a gas station, it might be helpful to check through any footage of said gas station from that night. It would have likely been on the way back after they had cleaned up. And you're going to be looking for that white car, and the person will likely have their face covered, will be moving with a purpose, but not rushing to make it obvious. That's all I'm going to say. So that was on the drive back. So the person gets back, let's say the person gets back, retrieves their phone. Then what? Eternal servitor, the ancient wanderer. Hope, incompleteness, yearning. So this is someone who looks like they lost all their skin, which could imply, in terms of metaphor, someone who had just burned their exterior, burned their clothing. There's a bunch of fire sticks by the light of the moon up top. So this is after the person got back and retrieved their phone. Their energy is that of, okay, I burned the clothing. I'm back from the round trip incompleteness. Remember I said that this card, I said it's like he feels like a part of him died because he didn't. If this person was planning on, let's say this person was planning on killing one person, possibly two, would have been a news story, would have been obviously very tragic. It's not that it would have taken anything away from the loss, but 4 students being murdered made this really, really get the interest of a lot of people. So it could be that, okay, I was just planning on killing 2 people, just planning on killing 1 person, but now this is all gonna really be a lot more looked into because of what ended up happening, which was not the original plan. So there's a hole in the heart of this figure right there. It's like that realization that this is going to turn into something really big because there's 4 students murdered, not just 2, not just 1, there's 4. And that was a realization that this person was like, everything that was normal to me is never going to be normal again, because I'm going to constantly be on edge, wondering, am I going to get caught? And especially with all the attention that the case got, then the whole world knows who you are. Abraham, justice of pandemonium. Justice, truth, and duty. Let me be very careful with what I say here. This guy's carrying an axe too. And I threw it on the floor. 1 second. Wait a minute. I said, this guy's carrying an axe too, and then I dropped it on the floor. And I said, oh, I threw it on the floor. That knife's in a body of water. So if the knife's in a body of water, sitting there for some time, it's not going to have the DNA evidence on it. So the only way to connect the person to the knife, I mean, maybe it will, I don't really know, but the only way to connect the person to the knife in a solid way would be to get proof that that person was not with their phone and that person got on a highway at point A and got off the highway at point B. And then if they find a weapon at that place, even if it doesn't have the necessary requirements to prove DNA analysis, it could still be like, okay, well, you got off the highway 10 minutes down the road, and this is where we found the knife. So how else could it have gotten up here? So this, also, he has like blue flames for hair, so it's, his mood afterwards was, all right, well, I burned all the evidence. The evidence is gone. The justice scale here is really making me think that the person who did this, sometime within that, it would be later that day on the 14th, had some kind of conversation with someone about, we got to find out who did this. We got to find out who did this. We got to find out who did this. We got to know. We can't, somebody's got to know something. We got to find out who did this. We got to get justice. We're gonna end, oh my gosh, 40 minutes. That's my bad. I didn't realize it was gonna be this long. One more card. So from the police's perspective, what is their main focus right now in terms of the person that they're looking into as being the perpetrator? Just one. Multiple people were involved in this crime. The people have their feet all chained together. They're zeroing in on who's covering up for the murder. That's what this is. Let me just get a clarifier to make sure that that doesn't mean that they think that multiple people committed the actual murder. Seven of Wands. Yeah, so Seven of Wands would be like if someone lied to the police and then were questioned again and they were like, no, that's the truth. That's the truth. Like if the police were like, all right, we're gonna give you one more chance to tell us if you saw this person at your house on this night. Their phone pinged here, or we saw them come here. But did you see them? Were you with them? And the person was like, yeah, I was with them. Because at that point, they had already lied and they were scared and it was kind of too late. Something is telling me that this is implying that there's 4 people that know something. I believe 2 are the parents. 1 is that friend or sibling that knows something, and then the other is that friend or whomever that they hid the phone. Two of Swords in reverse. Cops are making a move soon. They're either going to start putting direct pressure on the people that they think are lying. Like, instead of being like, oh, so you sure this? Are you sure that? It's going to switch to more of, all right, cut the shit. We know you know something. It's like they reached a point where they have no other option. And it's like, in the beginning, they knew that there was some evidence that would be or could be viewed as reasonable doubt. So they didn't want to push people too hard until they had something that could kind of override that doubt, especially in terms of court. But I do feel as though someone's either being pressured already or is going to be pressured very shortly in terms of something that they know from that night. Something that they had previously possibly lied about but didn't realize how big of a role their lie would play. Let's say they thought they were just covering up from someone who had drove drunk. Oh man, I drove drunk that night, parked outside your house, slept for a few hours. Just don't tell them that. Just tell them I was with you. Because if not, I'm going to get in trouble for driving drunk. But in reality, it was actually not them outside. It was just their phone there while they went and cleaned up from the murders, in my opinion. I'll do another reading if and when more comes out. But that's